we rely on the people who are out there, and that is the military.
And it's not just in places like Iraq and Afghanistan. This is worldwide.
It is worldwide. It's in Asia, it's in Latin America, Central America, and it's in Africa, where we don't commit many resources, and because the military has more than other agencies, the military has helped organize a new command, the African Command, and it's supposed to draw the agencies of the U.S. government together to work better together in dealing with Africa's problems. But of course, Africa's problems are not, generally speaking, military problems. They're problems.
But the military is taking the lead on this.
Exactly, because they have the tools and they have the bodies and they have the insight. And the insight they have comes from being in Africa, training militaries, and looking around and seeing the most simple question posed to you. This is not a military problem we have here.
So what do the commanders tell you they would like to see?
One of two things. They'd either like better training for their combat troops to be able to handle peacekeeping missions, if that has to be a default position if no one else steps up, or they'd like a development corps, a group of people who are as well trained and professional as they are to come in and take over the non-military jobs.
Landmark speech, Defense Secretary Gates says,
"What is clear to me is that there is a need for a dramatic increase in spending on the civilian instruments of national security."
Extraordinary that it's coming from the Defense Secretary saying we need more civilian players here.
If they don't get those players, it's going to be up to the men and women of the military who are so overstretched now. You know, before Iraq and Afghanistan, before 9/11, they could carry it off because they weren't in combat rotations. Now that they're in these rotations, going back to the theaters 2 or 3 times, it is a burden that will break the military.
Next president, what do you think this all translates into? Priorities.
Well, if there's continued pressure from the military to come up with alternatives to military solutions, I think either president will take this up. It's no longer an elective decision. After the first Gulf War, people said, we can be more efficient if we come together. It's no longer just a question of efficiency. It's really a question of our national security and how do we minimize terrorism and how do we prevent or help failed states to right themselves. We cannot do it with just the military, and everyone agrees on that. We have to do it with a collection of agencies and powers and talents.